It's 7:15 p.m. You get up to grab your phone charger from the bedroom. You're gone 12 seconds, and by the time you're back in the living room, your dog is already standing in the doorway, having abandoned a completely comfortable dog bed to make sure you didn't disappear. This happens all day. Kitchen to bathroom, bathroom to hallway, hallway to laundry room. Your dog isn't relaxing anywhere for more than a few minutes if you're not in the same room. Most people land on one of two explanations. Either the dog is anxious or the dog just loves you that much. Both of those answers feel true. Neither one is actually what the research says is happening. And once you understand the real mechanism, you'll never look at that shadow at your heels the same way again. Let's start with the anxiety explanation, because it's the one most owners default to. It sounds reasonable. Dogs that can't stand to be apart from their person must be insecure, right? But here's the problem with that theory. If it were true, the most clingy dogs should also be the most distressed dogs. And that's not what researchers actually find when they test it. In 2013, a team at the Clever Dog Lab in Vienna ran an experiment that changed how scientists think about this behavior entirely. They gave dogs a food dispensing puzzle the dogs couldn't solve on their own, and they changed exactly one variable: whether the owner was in the room. When the owner was present, dogs stayed engaged with the puzzle far longer. They kept trying. They stayed invested in something that wasn't even working. When the owner left, the dogs gave up almost immediately. Then the researchers added a control that made the finding undeniable. They brought in a total stranger to sit in the room instead of the owner, just to see if any human presence produced the same effect. It didn't. A stranger did nothing for the dog's persistence. The effect was entirely specifically tied to the owner. What this tells us is the opposite of what most people assume. Your dog isn't following you because it can't function without you. It's following you because with you nearby, it actually feels more capable. Researchers have a name for this: the secure base effect. Your dog is using your presence the exact same way a toddler uses a parent standing at the edge of a playground, not as a crutch, but as a reference point that makes the rest of the world feel navigable. And here's the detail that really reframes things. In that same study, dogs who showed zero signs of separation anxiety still pulled back from the puzzle the moment their owner left the room. This isn't a symptom of an anxious dog. It showed up in almost all of them. The secure base effect is just how a normal, securely bonded dog's brain works. So the dog standing in the doorway isn't there because it's fragile. It's there because with you on the other side of that door, it's ready for whatever comes next. Now here's where the mechanics of the behavior start to make even more sense, because there's a second system running underneath all that following, and it's easy to miss if you're not looking for it. When dogs encounter something unfamiliar, an unexpected noise, an object that appeared overnight, a stranger at the door, something happens automatically. They look back at you. Researchers at the University of Milan studied this directly using a fan covered in green streamers, an object dogs had never seen before. They filmed 75 dogs encountering it for the first time. 83% of them, after looking at the fan, immediately turned to look at their owner's face. And this is the part that matters most. What the dog did next depended entirely on what it saw in the owner's expression. If the owner's face read as positive, the dog moved toward the object. If it read as negative, the dog moved away. Animal cognition researchers call this referential looking. Your dog isn't just checking in emotionally, it's actively using your face as a live source of information about whether the world is currently safe. Now think about what referential looking actually requires physically. To consult you, your dog has to be able to see you, which means all that shadowing from room to room isn't really about closeness for its own sake. It's positioning. Your dog is maintaining continuous visual access to its single most reliable source of information. Every time you move to another room and your dog gets up to follow, that's not clinginess in the way people usually mean it. That's your dog keeping the consultation line open just in case something comes up. In households with more than one person, there's almost always one person the dog follows more than anyone else. And it's rarely random. Research on how dogs track human behavior suggests dogs orient toward whoever is the most consistent source of events that actually matter to them. Who opens the fridge most often? Who reaches for the leash? Whose movement most reliably turns into something interesting happening? Your dog isn't just tracking your body when you walk from the kitchen to the hallway. It's tracking the odds that something worth paying attention to is about to happen. Here's something that changes the entire emotional read on this behavior, and almost nobody knows it. In 2017, researchers at Princeton identified specific structural variants in 2 genes found in domestic dogs, GTF2I and GTF2I-RD1. What makes these genes remarkable isn't really what they do in dogs, it's where else they show up. In humans, deletions in these exact same genes cause a condition called Williams-Buren syndrome, a condition characterized by extreme sociability, a compulsive drive to approach and connect with other people, and an almost complete absence of the normal wariness that keeps most people at a careful distance from strangers. In clinical terms, it's a genetic predisposition toward human connection written directly into the genome. Wolves don't carry these gene variants. Dogs do. So the impulse behind that following behavior, the tracking, the proximity, the inability to let you disappear around a corner without coming to check, isn't primarily about how your dog was raised or what its early weeks of life looked like, though those things matter too. At a measurable genetic level, it's simply a feature of what dogs are. The result of thousands of years of selection, not for hunting skill or guarding ability, but specifically for the drive to stay near humans and to find that nearness rewarding in itself. There's one distinction worth making before we wrap up, because it changes what the behavior actually means depending on your dog. In 2006, researchers at Tufts University found something that surprised a lot of people in veterinary behavioral medicine. Dogs with clinically diagnosed separation anxiety did not spend more time near their owners at home than dogs without any anxiety at all. Following everywhere and separation anxiety are not the same thing. They can overlap in some dogs, but following alone is not automatically a red flag. The real difference is simple. A dog that just naturally follows you can also rest comfortably when you're home, but in another room. It settles. It's fine. It chooses to follow when the choice is available, but it doesn't fall apart the moment that choice is temporarily taken away. A dog with genuine separation anxiety can't disengage at all. The urgency doesn't ease even when it eventually catches up to you, and even a few seconds of separation can trigger real distress. So, the next time your dog gets up and follows you into another room for what feels like the 100th time today, here's what's actually happening. It has positioned itself for the most efficient possible access to your face and your body language. It's using you as a live, constantly updating source of information about the world. And underneath all of it, at the genetic level, is the same biological architecture that makes certain humans constitutionally incapable of keeping their distance from the people they're drawn to. Your dog isn't following you because something went wrong. It's following you because you are quite literally the most interesting, most useful, and most trusted thing in its entire world. If this changed how you see that shadow at your heels, subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments, does your dog follow one person in your house more than everyone else? And if you've ever wondered why your dog sleeps pressed against you every single night, that's the video that started this whole series. Go check it out next.